The corridor lights had gone the color of blood, and Renard had 30 seconds to decide whether to trust her ears over her eyes. Something big moved to her left. She felt it before she heard it, a pressure change against her skin, and she was already turning, blade low, when the wall panel beside her head sparked and died. Whatever hunted her here didn't need light. Neither did she. Her family had taught her to fight blind long before any instructor at this academy had. 6 days earlier, she had been nobody, the smallest recruit in a formation of giants, standing very still and hoping nobody looked too closely at the weapon riding her hip. She'd known, the moment the drill instructor's 4 eyes locked onto the scabbard, that stillness wouldn't save her. The cadets around her, Krillian mountains of muscle, a Thayan whose mind ran calculations like a second heartbeat, had gone quiet in the particular way that meant someone else was about to get burned instead of them. She stepped forward when her name was called, boots silent on obsidian, and gave the instructor a salute sharp enough to draw blood. Cadet Vale, reporting. His tendrils twitched. He wanted to know where a human, a species 15 years into galactic society and still, by every official record, harmless, had gotten a weapon that looked older than her planet's first rocket. A gift, she told him, from my grandmother. He made her draw it. The blade came free, clean and quiet, black metal that swallowed the hall's light instead of throwing it back, and along its length ran etchings so fine they looked like frost. Coordinates, dates, names of battles Renard had grown up hearing about at the dinner table, the way other families traded stories about vacations. He read 3 aloud before his voice failed him. The 4th, near the hilt, was older than her planet's knowledge that a galaxy existed at all. "How old is this weapon?" he said, and it wasn't really a question. 230 years, sir." He dismissed the entire formation, except her. When the doors sealed, he didn't look like an instructor anymore. He looked like a man doing arithmetic he didn't want to finish. "I've taught here 42 cycles," he said. "I have seen exactly 3 blades carrying real combat etching, never once from a human hand." Renard set the weapon across her palms instead of at her side, an offering, not a threat. "My family has a complicated relationship with this galaxy," she said. "Earth tells the Council we're diplomats and tourists. We've had soldiers out here for 80 years, just never in uniform." She watched him do the math and land on the Kryn uprising, on Thayan 4, on a prison break the records credited to a Krillian strike team that had never existed. "Your grandmother was there." "My great-great-grandmother. 13 went in, 4 came out. She carried this blade the whole way, and every woman after her added her own war to it." Renard's thumb found a groove near the hilt, one she knew by feel in the dark. "My mother's marks are the newest. She stopped being able to sleep with the lights off. That's what this life costs. I came here because I wanted to fight without paying that particular price." The room held its silence like something fragile. Then he told her plainly. This conversation, reported, ended her career before it began, and might end Earth's whole seat at the council table. "I know," she said. "Then why hand me the knife?" "Because you asked the right question," Renard said, "and because I'm finished carrying secrets into a uniform that's supposed to mean something." He didn't report her, he transferred her. By the next dawn, she stood in a training hall carved into bedrock, 15 minutes early, because her mother had taught her that on time was already too late, facing 5 instructors who represented 3 centuries of combined killing between them. A Krillian built like a demolition charge, a Thoraxian whose skin ran with shifting light and whose voice made her inner ear ache, a 6-armed gunner with a kill count in the thousands, a drifting cloud of something that wasn't quite matter. And last, a black-eyed thing called Kale, who admitted without inflection to ending 47 different species by hand. "We run a 40% survival rate," her new instructor told her. "We aren't building soldiers. We're building the thing this council pretends doesn't exist, people sent to close problems nobody will admit were ever opened." "You're recruiting me for black operations," Renard said. "If you're still standing by lunch." Then the observation deck turned out to be a screen the whole time, and the walls slammed shut into a maze, and 5 apex predators went hunting with her name at the top of the list, which brought her back to the corridor, and the dark, and the shape moving at her left that turned out to be Thrick, the Krillian, whose armored bulk still betrayed her through vibrations in the floor plates. Renard let her come 3 steps closer than instinct wanted, then closed the distance instead of running, blade finding the seam where limb met torso before Thrick's compound eyes had finished registering her. "Yield," Renard breathed. Thrick went rigid, then laughed like stone grinding on stone. "Your mother taught you that. She fought something built like you, once. Said the joints were the only honest weakness a Krillian had." One down. Renard left sparks and a blown junction box behind her to blind the gunner, borrowed the blade's old alloy to scramble the drifting cloud's containment field, fought the Thoraxian with her eyes shut, because her family had learned generations ago that sight was a liability in the right kind of dark. 4 instructors fell behind her in turn, each leaving her with less time and more bruises than the last. Kale was waiting at the center, standing between her and the lit platform that marked extraction. 28 minutes, Kale said. "Better than any human file I've read. You are still not getting past me." "I don't need to get past you," Renard said. "I need to get past this room." She charged straight at Kale, blade raised, then let the weapon fly the instant Kale committed to catching it, dropping low, sliding beneath a body built entirely for this fight, coming up already running. 10 meters. 5. Weight slammed into her from behind and drove her into the floor, one hand pinning her wrists, the other lifting her fallen blade away. "You forget the first rule," Kale murmured. "Never abandon your weapon." "I didn't." The training knife she'd lifted off the gunner's rack an hour earlier pressed flat against Kale's side. Neither of them moved. Then Kale began to laugh, a sound like wind finding an empty hallway, and let her rise. "That family of yours would be proud," Kale said. "Barely a pass, but a pass." When the lights came up clean and steady, all 5 instructors gave the same verdict in turn: continuation, continuation, continuation. And the man who'd first pulled her from formation laid out what came next without softening it. 8 months sealed inside this wing. No contact home. No promise her name would survive on any record if the work went wrong. "Last chance to walk," he said. "Nobody thinks less of you for taking it." Renath thought of her mother's hands, which shook sometimes at nothing at all. She thought of 4 generations of women who'd fought wars their own planet swore didn't exist, and of the blank stretch of metal near the tip of her blade, waiting for a mark that was hers alone. "I've already decided," she said. "Whatever this costs, I'd rather pay it standing up than in the dark, pretending I never signed on." 8 months later, in a facility that existed on no public register, a different officer sat alone reviewing footage nobody, outside 3 clearance levels, would ever see. A human operative moving through a fortified compound, dropping 17 trained operatives from 12 species without tripping a single alarm, walking out with intelligence that would never be attributed to anyone at all. The officer froze the last frame on her face, utterly calm, utterly finished with the person who'd walked in 6 days a cadet, and typed one line into a file that would outlive them both. "Shadow capability confirmed. Recommend deployment." Back in her quarters that night, long before any of that had happened, Renas sat cross-legged on a bunk built for a body twice her size, an etching tool no wider than a stylus balanced in her fingers. She found the bare stretch of metal her mother had left empty on purpose, the way you leave a line unfinished in a letter you mean to write again, and scratched in a date, a location code no listener would ever be cleared to read, and beneath it, one word: survived. She set the blade within reach of her hand, closed her eyes, and slept the way her grandmother had taught her, one ear still listening for whatever came next.